Welcome to another episode of Confessions of a Recruiter with Blake and Declan. We are on a global mission to build the world's largest community of recruiters so we can all connect and succeed together.
That's right. If you want to check out more of Confessions of a Recruiter, jump onto confessions.tv, subscribe to our bi-weekly newsletter, access merch, and if you want to chat to us directly, join our Discord at XR House with the links below. Now, we hope you enjoy this episode.
Thanks, Kim, for coming up to Confessions, all the way from Newcastle.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you're the director of Able Recruitment.
That's right.
This is going to be fun.
It will be.
So how did you get here? Did you drive?
I drove.
You drove?
It's about an 8-hour drive.
Oh, boy.
It is such an easy drive. That road is so good now. Yeah. And don't forget, I had a girls' weekend in Kingscliff on the way up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't the full 8-hour drive. I'll just get you to get the mic a little bit closer so you can hear yourself. You've got to be able to hear yourself.
I can hear myself, unfortunately.
Perfect. There we go. It's a little bit weird when you first hear yourself, but you kind of get used to it at the end.
I trust you.
Okay, so 8-hour drive, unbroken, or you stopped at Kingscliff, had a bit of a girls' weekend.
Yes.
So the hangover's still looming.
And the hangovers are pretty bad at this age.
Are they?
Yes.
They're bad at 30.
Whippersnappers at half my age. Okay, maybe not quite half.
So do you have any friends in recruitment?
I do, not a lot. As I was chit-chatting with you before, I'm one of those recruiters that doesn't really socialise with the other recruiters. And do you know what? Because my niche is insurance, I still feel like I'm an insurance person, not a recruiter. And I know a lot of people in insurance and I just don't know a lot of other recruiters.
Why don't you speak to other insurance recruiters?
It's not that I don't speak to them. I don't speak to them, but
You don't have an interest?
I don't have an interest.
Why? Why is there no interest there to figure out what old mate's doing across the pond?
What's in my head is probably going to sound really rude. I don't know that I want to.
No, go for it. Let's go. We're on Confessions, baby.
I'm not going to confess everything. Do you know what?
Just don't really care?
I've never really worried about what other people are doing. And that might sound arrogant. It's not meant to be. It's just more, I know what I'm doing. I feel like I do things a little bit differently. I don't feel like, people say recruiters are salespeople and we're all these things. I don't know. I just do my own thing and don't worry about anybody else.
Yeah.
It's a rambling answer.
Well, maybe people should do more of that as well.
I could just tell you that I don't like any of them. Well, no, there are a couple that I've spoken to. Like I've spoken to them, here and there. There's nothing wrong with them. I just don't have an interest in socialising.
So what about other recruiters then? You speak to other recruiters?
Not a lot, but yes, I would.
Yeah.
I probably feel like there needs to be that professional distance. I wouldn't like to accidentally say something about a client or I don't know, and then someone gets some information from you and sounds kind of paranoid. Yeah.
But that's how recruitment always has been. It doesn't sound paranoid. That sounds like the norm, to be honest. It sounds very, very normal for most recruiters to have that sentiment towards other recruiters. Yeah. We're obviously trying to slowly chip away at trying to break that norm, and you're here right now. So clearly it's working, because if you don't normally speak to recruiters and now you're on a recruiter podcast, we're literally we're night and day right now.
And you know what? Anytime that I do talk to other recruiters, I love it, because you're always really curious about what are other people doing, and do you have any ideas that I don't have, or just sharing of how you see the world versus how I see the world can be so different, even though we're essentially doing the same job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's it really solidifies that sometimes you're doing the right thing, because when you're working on your own, you don't know if you are doing the right thing or wrong thing. You're just doing what you know, and it might not always be the best way.
Yeah. There's a lady that was at Hudson's for a while that I would talk to here and there, and I remember thinking, because my background's all boutique recruitment, I've never worked for one of the big firms, and this wasn't very long ago. It was probably only a couple of years ago. I I rang her up and I said, these are the things that I do. These are the tools that I use. Do you guys do anything different? Have you got any other, have you got any other secrets in the back pocket? Do you get any other, I don't know, tools or training or something that I just don't even know exists?
Yeah, not even on your radar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she said, no, you're doing all the same things that we're doing. And am I allowed to talk about Job Adder?
Oh,
Yeah.
there is a zero,
We've only got one sponsor. Before
We've
you
got-
speak coffee
yeah, and CBD oil.
and CBD oil.
So as you
Ah.
can tell, there's no politically correctness here. There's no you can't say this, you can
no
say this.
favoritism to suppliers.
We're constantly ragging on Job Adder and Bullhorn, to be frank. So speak your piece.
Okay, I wasn't going to brag on Job Adder at all.
Okay.
Oh,
I was
LinkedIn give us royalties if you mention them though.
I was actually going to say I talk to Job Adder a lot, and I could go down the path of all the things that's happening now that weren't happening a few years ago with Job Adder, but I see that they're trying and kind of see where they're going, so, you I stick with it. But when I talk to them, sometimes I ask them questions about what are the bigger companies doing? And they're like, do you know what? It's you smaller guys that are doing
changing the
things.
game. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was about to say after you finish that, because we've spoken to a lot of big agency recruiters, and when they see how we work, they're like blown away. They're like, mate, we don't have any of this. We literally just have a Excel spreadsheet and really outdated CRM, or a company built one, and there's no systems processes. It's like cold call, reverse market, send your terms, get them locked in.
I was speaking to a recruiter the other day, and he works at Manpower. And this just goes to show and extends on what you guys are saying. We're talking about X-Recruiter, and we're talking about the technology that we use, blah, blah, blah. I said, what do you guys use? And he goes, Manpower is investing hundreds of millions into really changing the landscape of recruitment. We're doing this video interview software. And I was like, okay. And he goes, we record an interview with our candidate and we send it to our client. And I thought, you mean like recording a Zoom call, and just shooting it to your client? Like, what is that? And he was so impressed with this technology that Manpower is changing the game. And then we got on to what we do at X-Recruiter, and he was just like, wait, what the hell? You guys are you're 12 months in. Manpower is like one of the biggest recruitment agencies in the world, and we're stuck on rolling out. It's taken them 4 years or something to roll out a video calling program to use in their database. And it was just really interesting to hear these massive agencies, and I guess because they've got so much red tape and so much shit going on, that rolling out something like that is really, really hard. So it's just funny to see, other recruiters thinking that they've got the ducks nuts, when, obviously you don't know what you don't know, but it's just, it's interesting to see the difference between a big agency and a small agency and how well they do things.
Yeah, for sure.
So what keeps you in recruitment now?
I absolutely love recruitment.
What do you love about it?
Doing this. I want to ask you questions. I'm
Ooh.
just interested in people, and when we were chit-chatting, having a couple of beers before, and you said, oh, don't give away all the good stuff.
Yeah.
I thought I got all these things that I'd love to know, how come you guys are in recruitment, and how did it start, and how long have you been doing this, and what keeps you going? But I like talking to people, and I like helping people. And I think, I don't know, I've been there as a candidate. Yeah. Like someone said to me yesterday, you're very different to other recruiters, and I definitely don't want to bag recruiters, especially when, we've got two lovely ones sitting on the couch here. She's like, you're just so real. And that's, a lot of my clients say that to me, you're just normal and real. And I think, but isn't everybody? Isn't that just...
I don't think they are. And you know what? This is the blessing of recruitment and also the curse. It's really easy to stand out as a good recruiter because there's so many that are bad.
Yes.
And so you don't have to be overly talented or magical to be at the top of the game.
Yep.
If you just do the little things right and you just be normal about it.
Yep.
So when I interview recruiters for my agency, a lot of the time, that's what I tell them. I go, look, we've got an amazing industry where, sometimes we're tarnished with a pretty bad brush, like a used car salesman or a real estate agent or something like that, where it's like, pesky recruiters bloody calling me again. And sometimes you feel like a bit of a pest, and your value is less than what it truly is when you get a little bit of harsh feedback on a cold call or whatever it might be. But the beauty of that is, if you actually do apply yourself in recruitment, it can be extremely financially rewarding. But if you just do a little bit better than the average, you're like miles ahead of the competition. And so circling back to why I asked you, like, why are you still in it? You've been in it for a very long time, obviously. And has your passion for recruitment maintained, or do you go through like any normal, maybe even a relationship where it's like, I hate this, I want out,
sure.
I love this.
Yeah.
Okay. And so today, where are you at today?
I'm loving it today.
You're loving it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. No, that's good.
Yeah.
And
I've
what
been visiting people and talking to them and out and about and in people's offices, and that's the fun part. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Forging those relationships. What's the least funnest part? Sitting at the database and scrolling through it all?
No, not even that. Because sometimes if you're in the right mood, it's good to just, I don't know, like you feel like you're on a mission and yes, found one.
Yeah.
I don't know, what's the, like.
When
I
was the
guess-
last, what happened for the last time you thought, I hate this. This is so annoying.
Yeah.
Client maybe? Client not paying your bills?
This was like, I can't remember. So I had a moment probably in 2017 where I thought, maybe I should just like get out and go and have a normal job. Yes, I do remember what it was. So I'd had a client, I'd filled one position. He wanted a replacement, and we have in our terms, like I think a lot of people do, you have to replace with the same position. He wanted something different. And I said, that's okay, I'll do it. Replaced it. He burned through that one in a very short space of time and then wanted another one. And I was like, well, you don't get another, like you don't get a replacement on a replacement. That, like, we agreed to those terms. I'm definitely one of these people that make sure that we all know how it works and what you're signing up to before we start. I don't, tell them about this after the fact. And he was really, really unhappy with me. And I don't talk to that client anymore. I'm happy not to hear from him. I don't think he wants to deal with me either. But it was just at that point where, like, there was that, and I might have had another replacement. Like, when you get a couple of replacements in a row, you just think,
Yeah.
why am I even here?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, because you work so hard, and I think it took me a long time to figure out you just have to not be invested in the outcome. You just have to be invested in doing the right thing, regardless of where that leads. And sometimes the right thing is your candidate goes somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or they do start a job and everyone thinks it's going to be great and it isn't. Yeah. So.
Okay, so let me ask you a couple questions around your business development activities. Okay. So there's a lot of like rookie recruiters that listen to this. There's a lot of agency owners that listen to this.
Yep.
Very broad mix of individuals.
Yep.
And sometimes we talk in the podcast around, when do you get into flow where you're not like feast famine from 1 month to the next, like, oh, now I've got to do BD. Oh, now I've got to fill this job. Now I've got to do BD. And it's like this high and low moment of recruitment all the time.
Yep.
Now that you've been in it for a while, do you ever find yourself looking at your pipeline and going, shit, I've just got to do aggressive BD for the next 2 days to get something happening? Like, do you ever find those moments? What's that like for you?
Yeah, sometimes. I've been pretty lucky because I took over this business from someone who'd been doing it for 30 years.
Oh, okay.
And it was a well-established business. And that's why I wanted to work
So the
with
business has been going for 43 years total.
I took over in 2014.
Just get you
like
a little bit
ish.
closer to your mouth.
How do you
Yeah.
do that?
What?
Get the mic a little bit
Mic.
closer to it.
Yeah, the mic. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, 40-ish.
Wow.
years.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
And perm or temp?
perm. So Ian, who I took over from, I mean, the business went through all sorts of evolution and changes and different things, and they did do temp at one stage, I'm sure. I don't like doing temp work. I just am not that sort of person. Like, I know it's good and we're all talking about it, but I I don't know, maybe if I hired someone else to come and do temp, but I personally don't want to do temp. I haven't done a lot of it, but I've done enough to know I don't want the 10:05 phone call to say, can you have somebody here on Monday morning? No, thank you.
Yeah. So you bought that agency, did you?
Of sorts, yes. So we came to a financial agreement where Ian retired, I took over, and I mean, I guess you could, I did buy it.
Okay.
Yeah, but it wasn't a very structured arrangement with a contract and.
Oh, okay. Because I was about to ask you that. We're going through something similar with other people around buying a recruitment agency, buying it with sweat equity, buying it with cash, buying it on a delayed tiered process to slowly take it over. And I was about to say, like, how did that work for you? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there right now in recruitment working for a boss of a small boutique going, well, we speak to people all the time with ex-recruiter.
Yep.
Should I start my agency or should I take this equity offer from my boss and be a part owner of this agency that I work at is usually a lot of the conversations that we have. Yep. So what was that like? How was the conversation there? Was he like chomping at the bit to like handball it over to you so he could retire? Or were you like, give this to me?
Neither. It was more, so Ian had two businesses. He had a menswear business and the recruitment business. And there was another guy that worked for him for a long, long time who had retired maybe a year before I joined. And I had been on at Ian for some time about, his name's Gary. So I want Gary's job. Like, when are you going to hire me? And we were having this joke. And anyway, that's right. I was about to go into long detail about I'd been off having babies and it was time to come back to work. And I spoke to Ian. He said, yep, time's right. He said, I was thinking about winding up the business because I don't want to do this anymore. I've kind of had enough. And then he said, I'll take you on a part-time basis because I had 2 little kids at that point. And he was making jokes about, well, maybe I want to take over the business or buy the business. And I was not interested. I just didn't see myself as someone who could.
So you just wanted a job after having a couple of kids and coming back into work. Yep.
And I didn't want the massive responsibility that I thought it was, and all the things that go, the marketing and the finances, like all the bits and pieces that you guys are doing, that infrastructure that you're giving to people. I didn't want all of that.
You would have been perfect for ex-recruiter.
I would have, but you didn't exist, and I couldn't wait.
Yeah.
How many years?
Yeah.
So that was like 2014.
Yeah.
I guess that, it was 2014 Ian retired. So I've worked for him for 3 years on a low salary with the understanding that, back then, I don't know if it still happens, but I accepted a low salary for the privilege of working part-time and having a bit of flexibility. It was just worth it. So then when the time came to take over, we worked out what's the work in progress and what's a fair percentage of that for me to continue paying him for a certain period of time. So it was just like
How did you work that out? Did you just go, all right, we've got 100K pipeline, you're never going to fill this, I'll give you 20% of it, I'll give you 20 grand and I'll take it over kind of thing? Or is that kind of...
I can't remember. I think Ian suggested whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. Because he'd built the business and he was...
Was it fair and reasonable, or was he trying to get like a little bit of extra bang for buck?
I think I came out on the
top.
good side of it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'll try and send him a bottle of wine every once in a while to say, and I ring him up, and I didn't realise how much it would change my life being in charge of this business. And as I said, it's just been me for a very long time. There's a few of us now. But it's the best thing that I ever did, because I probably shouldn't work for other people. I don't like being told what to do. I like the freedom and the control. I like to do things my way. I like to decide today that there's a new idea that I've got, or I want to change something, and I'm going to do that tomorrow, actually. So
what was the biggest revelation you had after now becoming a business owner? Were you like, I had all these thoughts built up in my head that weren't even real?
Yes.
Or there's a mirage there that maybe business owners created, or the system of life creates it for you?
I think I still don't understand the finances like I probably should, and I didn't realise that you can just find a good accountant and say, can you tell me how to structure this thing and to set it up, and what is the right way of going about it for a business of this size with these kind of goals, and it's not hard.
Yep. I think the fear of the unknown is probably the biggest hurdle for people. Doing something that they feel like maybe they know they could do it, but they're not entirely sure. And sometimes, like a candidate almost, I actually was having a chat to a girl today. She wants to start her own agency, and the one thing that was holding her back is I've got no idea like what to expect or what to look out for. And so I would just love someone to just tell me if I'm on the right track. And kind of like a candidate prepping them for an interview. It's like, hey, mate, you just got to go in there and tell them you want the job, tell them you're keen, and, tell them you want to work for the business. It's not hard. And they're like, I was going to do that, but now that you've said that, it makes even more sense, and I'm just going to make sure I nail it. Same kind of thing I feel with a lot of business owners, getting a bit of a pump up and getting them on the right track is sometimes all they need to just pull the trigger and make that a reality. So how has that changed your family life then, and your relationships with your family now being a business owner? Do your kids see you as a business owner and get a bit more entrepreneurial themselves now, or how does that kind of trickle down into family?
Yeah. Oh, look, in some ways it's affected our family positively, and in other ways there's things I'd do differently. I think this is whether you're the owner of the business or whether you're working for someone else and you just care about what you do. The times where I was working for Ian, I remember and we didn't have very good technology, so anyway, I'd be working from home and on the phone to a candidate, and we used to live at Ipswich, and we had like quite a large block, and I needed to talk to this guy from the UK for whatever reason at late in the afternoon, and my youngest son was chasing me around. Like, I was staying just enough pace ahead of him around the house so that the candidate on the other end of the phone couldn't hear my whinging kid.
Yep.
Been
Been
there.
Yeah. But then I look back on some of those moments and I think, oh, I didn't put my child first.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that that's a regret, but I would definitely say to someone in that same position, it's okay to put your kids first, or to have a bit more structure around, I'm working late on these days and I'm not working late.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things I've come to terms with. Like, Stage, my daughter's 5 in January, and you look back at, like, I used to work, when I got into business, I just thought you had to work like a lot of hours every day, like 12, 14-hour days. I suppose I still work a bit now, but to the point where you would neglect your health, you'd neglect time with your family, you'd never be home for a dinner, and you'd just be highly strung because you weren't even enjoying it. And it would just be, financially, and you weren't ticking any of your own boxes. And then it would just be day after day. And then you're like, far out, I haven't barely seen kids at all this week.
Yeah. It's so easy to do. And I think if you've got that in you, this is my true belief, and whether you call that a workaholic or whether you call it that you're just passionate and care what you do, doesn't matter. I think if you've got that in you, you have to constantly be on top of yourself, because that's what I'm doing now. I'm back to working stupid hours because we've just got a lot on and we've got some projects that we want to do, and it's just fun and exciting. And my husband works with me now.
Really?
Yeah, big change to the business.
Whoa, dynamic duo.
Yes.
Was he a recruiter beforehand?
No.
Oh, you're training him up too.
I am.
Oh, shit. How
Power
does
play.
that go? Oh, what's your husband's name?
So his name's Matt.
Matt.
And I'm going to make him listen to this, and I'm going to tell you while he's listening, g'day, Matt, that I ask him to bring me cups of tea and
Beauty.
call him my bitch.
Does he do the thing that all partners do? You give him great advice and they don't take it on, but they'll just go to like a meeting or an event, and someone will give them the exact same advice back. They'll come back to you and be like, Kim, you won't believe what I just learned. I just had this happen, that happened. And you're like, haven't I been saying that for like the last 3 months?
I can probably think of plenty of other non-work examples of that.
Yeah.
Probably two. So this has only been maybe, I don't know, we're probably 4 months in. We're sort of dabbled, and yeah, we started working together temporarily to see if we would kill each other, and whether he felt like maybe he should go back and get a real job, or if we really, because we've been talking about working together for years, because his background's very different. He's like operations and general management and marketing and all sorts of cool stuff that I want in my business, and that I probably couldn't have gone out and got someone with his skill set at this point.
And cheaper. Come on, Matt. You're on a you're in an
come only,
internship. yeah.
There's plenty of inappropriate comments
Yeah.
about how that all works.
So is he going to be a recruiter?
Yes,
He is.
but perhaps not an insurance recruiter.
Yeah, we don't talk to them.
They're out.
Yeah.
He can't live in the same house anymore.
So would he do something similar to his background, like marketing or something like that, recruitment?
Yeah, industrial sort of stuff.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah. And so it's his first 4 months, you said?
Yeah.
What's he think?
Yeah.
He's more interested in, like, this probably sounds boring that we're redoing the website, but it's really cool. Like, what he's put together is super cool. I'm really, really excited to do that. And there's some other, I don't know if I should, I'm not going to talk about our other little projects just yet.
Oh, come
too
on.
soon.
This is the perfect time to release it. We're on the confessions.
I don't trust you because you're a recruiter.
True. Yep. Keep your cards close to your chest, Kim.
James Toth could be listening. That's the only insurance recruiter I know.
Have you heard of James Toth?
I know that name, and I probably should know. I don't know.
He's a really nice guy, actually. Kona & Co. Insurance
name.
recruitment.
Yes.
He's recently kind of wound down Kona, and now he's heading up insurance for Collar Group. Have you heard of Collar Group?
No.
You don't know anyone. You don't talk to anyone.
No, you're unimportant.
Well, just, I guess, don't worry about that story then. But yeah, he's the only insurance recruiter I know. Oh, no, we know another insurance recruiter. I can't remember the gentleman's name. He works at a recruitment agency.
I'm sure he does.
He's really nice too. He works. He came to our Ex Recruiter quarterly giveaway. You know who I'm talking about.
Yep.
He's a real
Aaron.
Yeah. We know 3 insurance recruiters, including you.
Yes.
All of them are absolutely lovely. You're all
and
kind
out
of
of the 3, like, I would be.
You're the only one on the podcast.
Yeah, and been on the podcast.
So you must be number 1, numero uno.
And recruitment's huge in the UK. Do you bring a lot of people over from the UK? Is that a thing? Or do you only place locally?
No, that was just a random story about running around the house. Yeah. The majority of the placements that I make would be just Australian people that are
And are
already
they
here.
junior roles? Are they senior roles? Has it changed throughout your career?
So I do mainly mid-level. So in insurance, I don't necessarily deal or want to deal with the big corporates. A lot of my clients are SME businesses. Yeah.
How many SME insurance companies are there? I didn't think it'd
Thousands.
be really.
Yeah.
I thought insurance was like a big dog game.
Yes, it is a big dog game, but the little
Insurance
dogs,
brokers. Gotcha.
They
And-
don't they license there'd be heaps of statewide, right? No, they're mortgage brokers. But it's insurance brokers, don't they license
An insurance product from
Insurance
a bigger
product,
agency.
yeah.
That would be an underwriting agency.
Yes.
Oh, right.
Yes, and I was just talking to one of my very favourite underwriting agency people today.
Are you going to send them this clip too?
Hello, Blair.
My very favourite agency.
Yes,
Yeah. Nice.
that's right.
And so, so you've got your husband. Do you have any? Is there anyone else?
Yes.
There's a couple.
Christine? I spoke to her today.
Did you?
Yeah. Tried to get any dirt on you before the podcast. She said, no comment. So
Well done, Christine.
You've told her well.
Yeah.
Okay, and then there's one
Christine
more.
and Pat.
Pat.
Cool. Awesome.
And they're both Queensland based.
Really? Okay.
how did that happen?
Because I have worked remotely since 2014, and so I was all over this before anyone else figured out that you don't need to be tied to a particular location. And I just wanted the people that I wanted, and I didn't want to be I didn't think, oh, I must find somebody in Newcastle that, I don't know, and then what, they come to my house?
Do they have experience, these two people?
Insurance experience, but not recruitment experience.
How do you go training them? Zoom.
Yep, Teams all day long.
Shit.
Not all day long, but yeah, Teams.
And are they doing well? How long have they been there?
Yeah. So Christine does a lot of our admin, and like, I'm allowed to say this, I suppose, because we both joke about
You
this.
can say whatever you want. It's your business.
Well, don't want to offend anybody,
Okay,
particularly
yeah,
people in
yeah,
my
yeah,
business.
yeah. Don't offend her.
Definitely not. I would never. Christine does all the sweeping up, so I like to joke that I make the messes and put shit everywhere and just break things and forget to put file notes. I actually don't forget to do file notes. I'm excellent at file notes. But Christine comes along and, like, I don't know, that one's missing a phone number and that stuff.
Gotcha. Yep.
Yeah.
Love that.
Does a lot of reference checks.
Yep. So she's like a support, like a recruitment support type of person.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not a bit of resourcing, I suppose, but mainly support, admin support. Yeah.
Yep.
And Pat is a recruiter, so perm recruiter.
So you taught him to be a perm recruiter.
Yeah.
And so any challenges that you found training someone virtually over maybe what you could have done in person?
Yeah. Yes. I just had to get into the habit of, let's say I'm in the middle of something and I think, oh, I need to show Pat how to do this. I'll just do a quick Loom video and then upload it. We've got a training tab on our Teams. Upload it to that. Pat, have a look at this. Yeah.
And
So
how's he
that's-
find it?
That's what's worked. Just doing a Loom video and sending it off, and he goes,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Well, we do that, and then he'll ask me questions, or he'll get on a Teams, and
Yep.
because one of us might be interviewing or not there, and because you can't see each other, and we don't always remember to say, "I'm just off to get a coffee," or what have you.
Yep.
Yeah. So we talk a lot. Yeah,
like
he's
that.
been on the Greg Savage, so I put him on the Greg Savage training
Academy thing?
video.
Yeah.
What feedback did he have? Do you like it?
Yes.
You think?
No negative feedback, but yeah, like I think it helped just to sort of have some baseline knowledge and
Reconfirm what he already
information.
knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's a rookie, so that would probably give him some good foundations.
Yeah, so Pat's 7 months in.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, so you've got 4 of you. You and your husband work from home,
Correct.
and so does the other 2 staff. They
Yes.
also work from home.
Yep.
So that'd be a super lean business then, because you won't have these crazy overheads of offices and so forth.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Love that. And do you have any plans on, you're just going to settle for this 4? Are you going to do what Ian
Yep. Good
did
memory.
and eventually, kind of
Like hand over.
sell it off and or maybe just not sell all of it and just have 10% shareholding and take a little clip and maybe they just run it from moving forward? Or what's kind of the future vision there?
Yeah, I've got big plans. So I've got all this ambition that I kept inside while the kids were little.
Yep.
And now they're a little bit bigger. And especially now that I've been able to bring Matt in with his skill set, like ready to go. So I definitely want to grow the business. I don't know what the future looks like in terms of, like, I'm not thinking about selling or handing over or, I don't know what the end point looks like. Kind of, yeah,
Just take it one step at a time.
one step at a time. I'm a bit of a one step at a time kind of girl.
Yep. What's the next step?
In terms of
Growth.
next-
I mean, I'm assuming when Pat
yes,
finds his feet, gets a bit stable, gets consistent, whether he is or not right now, I don't know, but usually recruiters take 12 months to kind of find their feet in most
he's
cases.
doing all the right things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so is that like a trigger for you to go, boom, next one, let's go? Or do you have some sort of strategy in place where you go, all right, once I have X amount in the bank, that's going to give me a green light to hire the next person? Or have you kind of thought about that at all?
Yes, so we've got a couple of things that we're going after currently, which if we get those, that will give me the comfort that the income will be there to hire the next person.
Like clients?
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
and this is where I say I'm not that entrepreneurial. I like a lot of comfort before taking that next step, whereas a lot of salespeople will say, well, you just go get it and then figure out how to back
don't do that.
yourself.
Yeah.
I think there's a happy median. You can get into quicksand if you
Yeah.
just get into a certain cycle, and sometimes it can ravel out of control.
Yep. The last thing that I would want to do is to jeopardize what I've already got, because
Yep.
I've worked so hard, like we all do. I guess it's not that I've worked any harder than anyone else, but you do work friggin' hard.
No, I agree. You don't want to just like make a decision and shoot from the hip and jeopardize what you've kind of built up over the last however many years. 9? Is that my maths?
Yes.
9. I'm on fire tonight. It must be those asatis. So yeah, totally understand where you're coming from, and I think that actually comes with maturity, to be honest. Because I used to be like, yeah, let's rock and roll, baby, and just try and figure things out. But now, after turning 30, especially, I have.
Sorry, 30.
I hit the big 30. I'm coming up to 31 soon. It's actually my birthday shortly. Have you got
The next
anything
month.
planned for me?
We do, mate. We do.
We? Who's
Hey?
we? You got more than just you. You and Deanna or the team, or sorry,
gotta
I'm
wait and see,
hijacking
mate.
this
Just gotta
about
wait
me
and
and my
see.
birthday.
Hey, just wanted to jump in here. We got a confessions hotline, so give us a call, send us a text if you want to share any juicy stories, or even just ask a question that's been on your mind, because we'd love to hear from you. The phone number is 0485 865 483. Enjoy the rest of the show.
The whole risk adverse thing, like I would, I understand that kind of mindset of, look, don't fuck this up. You know, there's this kind of, it reminds me of this thing that they say in investing when you get to like, I don't know how much it is. Let's say $10 million. It's not about making money anymore. It's about not
Keep it.
losing the money.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of where you get to in business when you get to a point you're really comfortable with and you're happy with. It's like, all right, now let's make sure I don't fuck this up. That's kind of what that reminds me of, kind of thing. So
It's probably a barrier though that you have to push past. You come up against, like, there's nothing like being in business for yourself to be confronted with all your fears and
Well, it highlights them
values
every
and-
day.
yeah.
And then you got to, I think it's the biggest personal growth thing you could possibly do.
Yes.
Like, you can read a book, you can go to seminars, you can listen to speakers, you can do training courses.
Yep.
But until you're fully accountable for your own income,
Yeah,
yeah,
even
you're not
beyond having kids. Because I think having kids is one of those, like, your values are confronted constantly where you didn't think they would be. You end up in situations where you just have to, well, I'm on this side or I'm on that side.
yeah, 100%. I totally agree. Like the whole starting a business and running your own business is, a lot of people that haven't done it before think it's about the money and think, wow, imagine if I can earn all this extra money. But what I constantly remind people that haven't started business yet is like, yeah, that's obviously great. The extra money is awesome, but the biggest value add of starting a business is your own personal development and really actually knowing what you're made of.
Yep.
Because when you're an employee and you've got the employee mindset, you stay in your lane, you finish work, you go home, you watch Netflix, you eat a burger and you go to bed, and it's just like super elementary, basic level stuff. When
And
you're
you
a
don't
business
lie
owner-
awake at night
No.
thinking,
yeah.
I'm about to do this thing.
Yep.
Or,
Yep, 100%. And then when you're a business owner, you're like, all of a sudden, it's like this blue sky of imagination and opportunity. And what am I going to do now? What if this happens? And oh, that's going to be really bad. What if this happens? And you start to become such more of a refined person, I think, when you start to feel the essence of being a business owner and understanding that, you know, okay, if I do this, that's a potential outcome. If I do this, that's a potential outcome. And you start thinking so much more deeper about all your actions rather than just going, I'm going to get hammered. I'm going to get hammered tonight. I'll just be hungover tomorrow and I'll just have a cruisy day. When you're a business owner, it's like, I cannot afford to do that. I need to make sure I'm on my game.
You
Same.
can't be sick. Like,
Yeah.
when's the last time either of you had a sick day?
Oh, public holidays and sick days, they do my head in. I'm like, oh, public holiday. Damn it, no one's going to answer the phone today. What am I going to do all day?
Yeah, but you've had a few sickies. You've been sick lately, mate.
Mate, I was sick once. I missed a podcast like 3 weeks ago. Was it 3 weeks?
Yeah, you ate some off swordfish and didn't go well.
Sometimes I like to indulge in a solo sit-down meal at a restaurant for lunch.
Okay.
So I'll just sit there, order myself a nice meal, and sit there by myself and just...
This wasn't your birthday lunch to
No,
yourself?
no,
Or no, it's not your birthday yet.
Not my birthday yet.
Okay.
It's just a nice thing I like to do when... I know, I probably look super weird sitting at a restaurant by myself eating a feed. But yeah, had this swordfish steak, and yeah, it was the first time I've been thrown for a couple of years, and it was no good. And I missed the podcast. Declan's on my back. Come on, mate, what are you doing? This can't happen, mate. We've been doing this 52 weeks. The 53rd
Breaking
week,
the
you're about
streak.
to throw this out. I'm like, mate, I can't. I literally cannot be there.
Just
Bathroom's
be better.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
true. I
could've.
could have
What's wrong
tried
with you?
that. See, I'd throw up, and then for like 15 minutes, I'd feel okay, and then yeah, it'd go downhill pretty quickly thereafter. But yeah, thanks for bringing that up, mate. Good,
No, that's all right, mate.
good
Sorry
memories,
to
eh?
hear
Good
that.
memories.
Gotta
Have you ever hired a virtual assistant?
No.
You got to get on that.
I read the 4-Hour Work Week many years ago.
Yep,
You know Tim Ferriss?
Mhm.
yep.
Yes. I was obsessed with all of those ideas. And
I just don't think they're real.
yeah.
A VA is good value add, but to work 4 hours a week and automate your whole life.
You don't work. You work more than 4 hours a week.
Huh?
Right now, could have fooled me, mate. He's usually at the gym, sunbaking or something.
Is that
Oh,
right?
mate.
Sunbaking
walking
at the
his
gym.
walking his dog. He loves walking his dog. Every morning we talk, and then he's like, "Oh, mate, I got to go. I got to walk my
Gotta
dog."
walk the dog.
I'm
You're
just
not
not.
allowed to do that before work.
I'm not sure if
I'm the
he's
only one in
brushing.
the house.
I'm not sure if he's brushing me off or he actually walks his dog. But that dog is the fittest dog in the world at this point.
It's because you keep calling me. I have to keep walking the dog.
So back to my VA thing before we got kind of like off track there.
Yes.
So a VA, I think, is really good. I think they're like, on average, at a guess, they're like $5 to $10 an hour.
Mhm.
So not that much. And
Can I say that seems like exploitation?
it's not. It's like if you convert it to their currency, they're like
It's
the
a lot
most
of money.
well-paid person in India or the Philippines or wherever they're from.
I've got
It's-
another problem.
what's your
another
problem? Come
problem
on,
with
hit
it.
me with it. Hit me
Yeah.
with it.
And I do say it cautiously because I know all of us are offshoring things and we've got teams everywhere else, but I think as long as I can give somebody a job who's already here, I just want to do that.
Until you
Wait.
realise how better workers they are.
Honestly, you got to give it a crack.
I've had this long conversation with someone else and he's like almost got me converted.
Yeah, yeah.
But I just like the idea of, I mean, I don't want to sound like Pauline Hanson, but I like
It's
the
not-
idea of keeping the jobs here.
It's not about you wouldn't do it to replace someone in Australia. You would do it to reduce or refine your current workload. So hypothetically, let's say you have 8 hours in the day. 2 of those hours you're sending, perfect example, you're sending invoices, you're reconciling Xero, you're doing a little bit of, just accounting basic stuff that can be a bit boring and monotonous. I don't know how much you put through your business accounts, but if you're doing lots of coffees every day, it's a lot of
There's
reconciling.
a lot of
Yeah.
reconciliation in Xero, yeah.
So instead of you doing that, because you're already doing it yourself, you would hire someone for $5 an hour, 3 hours a day, let's call it. And every day they log on, reconcile your accounts, check your database, see if you've made any placements, or the team, send out the invoice, and you're done. So you don't actually have to worry about invoicing or reconciling your accounts anymore.
Sounds lovely.
$10, $50 a week.
I think I'd have a hard time trusting. I think I'd be
It's a process.
behind there checking it so much that it
Would warrant.
You got to
the
do
time.
that. You've got to check it and make sure they're above board. Like you can actually get a CPA, like a qualified accountant, to do it. But I don't know why I'm trying to pitch you on this, but feels like I'm pitching.
You're a good salesperson because, I'm following along.
Are you interested?
Sign me
though?
up.
Yeah, nice.
We've got a new offshoring
yeah.
division.
Yeah,
Yeah, we refer VAs.
ex-recruiter offshore.
What a coincidence.
Yeah. Confessions of an offshorer. And so, you would double check them and make sure they know what they're doing. Just like any staff member, like you get like a bookkeeper internally, you'll sit there and like check their work for the first 4 weeks until you go, you know what you're doing, and then you can.
Especially anything accounting related.
Yeah.
It's not like
But even candidate sourcing, they have a whole career of being recruiters.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Candidate sourcing's not too bad. Something to think about anyway. A bit of food for thought. But sometimes I like to use them if I've got a monotonous thing that I'm trying to do, and I just want to take it off my plate so I can focus on higher value activity. Is essentially how I like to think of it. Not so much to replace someone, but to make my life easier if I can outsource a lower value task to someone.
So you're doing this on a piece by piece basis, or you've got certain ones that you know you can rely on where you say, oh, I've got another one of these weird projects that you did last week. Can you do that again?
No, they'd be like full-time employees.
Full-time. So we got 4 full-timers.
Right.
One of them does invoicing, just sends out invoices, retained invoices if we have a retained role, reconciles bank accounts, works out consultant commissions, so I don't have to sit there every so often and like dial it out, and then also gives leads to the consultants, because we get leads coming through our agency, and sometimes when you give a consultant too many leads, they take it like they don't cherish them, and they just like go, I'm not going to call that lead. They look like a shit lead, and they'll just
Not even cool.
Too hard. That's when you know they've got it too good.
Yeah.
And so now
that's just rude though. Whether or not you want to do that, like, wouldn't you just make a phone call and?
You'd think, but
You'd
if they're
think
always
so.
coming in,
yeah,
it's like if
Sometimes
you always
they go-
know food's coming in, are you
Yeah.
going to keep eating the dish you have?
yeah,
Yeah.
So sometimes a lead will come in. Like I've had situations where a lead's come in and someone's gone like, "Hey, I've got a role to recruit. I'd like to know your fees. Do you have a guarantee period? Can you do this? Can you do that? What do you do in this case?" And once before, and this is when I really cracked it in my team, someone's got the email and goes, "Oh, fuck, that's in the too hard basket." And I'm like, mate, you've got an engaged client asking you questions about recruiting.
Yeah.
And you're putting them in the too hard basket. They're like, oh, they want to know about the difference between going exclusive and going contingent. Like, no shit. And I was like, all right, guys, this has got to stop today. You can't just keep taking
Wow.
advantage of just getting spoon-fed engaged jobs. If someone
Not all the
literally
easy
doesn't,
stuff.
they're super easy
Someone
stuff.
that doesn't ask any questions at all.
It was almost like if someone didn't go to them, "Hi, I've used recruiters before. I know how it works, and I've got a job for you to recruit. Can you please help me?" If that didn't happen, they wouldn't recruit the job. And so
That's what, that's what we used to be like.
yeah,
They would get in the same way, and they would just forget. They're like, "Oh, I need a new list. I need something
Do you know
done."
what that is as well? That is just customer service.
yeah,
You don't not ring someone that's made an inquiry.
100%. So that's circling back to the VA thing. So now I get this girl to do the accounting and blah, 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 just like the basic stuff so I don't have to do it. But then she gives out like a couple of leads at a time to people, and then they don't get any more leads until she goes into the database. She checks that they've called them. They've got notes on the lead, and they've put it in a follow-up sequence to say, all right, I'm going to follow these guys up in 3 days. They didn't answer, or I left a message, or they're thinking about it, whatever. And so now they'll sit there. They'll have the 3 leads, and it won't go anywhere. And she won't give them any new leads until she sees that they've actioned a follow up or they've scheduled a follow up, stuff like that. So now it's just making them like, that's not stuff that I want to sit there and double check that they've called the lead and followed them up. And it's probably something I should do, but at least now I've got someone doing it at no mental space for me. On autopilot, where I can just be a little bit more like, they're in a place of scarcity now, like, oh geez, I better jump on these leads because I might not get another one if I don't. So it's working well at the moment.
So you're not asking them to go do BD either, because you've got enough that you can just share it out.
They have to. These leads are in conjunction with BD.
Right.
So it's an additional element to what we must do from our core recruitment principles. It's not a, hey, you need to rely on this 100% because, you know, they will never be able to do the leads and convert them 100% of the time. So they still have a BD process that they need to follow and do their cold calls, etc., cold emails, whatever the process they need to do. And then they get their leads as like an additional element to that.
Right.
Yeah.
Supplement.
It's a supplement.
Nice
Yeah,
little
exactly. Nice little, you know, when you're banging out 20 cold calls and you're trying to get a job and you're getting nowhere, and then you just get this lead come through that's really easy. It just gives you a little bit of pep in your step if you're having a crack and you're not getting anywhere. You know what I mean? You know about that, hey?
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, sweet. Just making sure.
I usually do 200 calls and get nowhere. So when was the last time you did a BD call? Years.
I can't remember.
Really?
I honestly can't remember.
How does Pat get business?
Because the phone rings. Because that
Maybe that's the missing link.
I'm
We need
really-
our phone to ring for our consultants to pick up the phone.
I'm quite conscious that sounds really arrogant. And look, maybe we could be doing way more than what we are. But honestly, I took over an established business and I just kept loving those clients and candidates, and we get referrals from those clients and candidates. And like, look, for sure, pre-2019, there was definitely times. Yeah, see, it's so hard for me to measure the time because I've gone from working part-time, just making sure that this business is surviving and existing, because I wanted to be a mum and I wanted to pick my kids up from school and do all of it. Like it definitely turned out to be more work than I thought it was going to be. I quickly went from part-time to full-time, but with a lot of flexibility.
And do you focus on retained? Is it just exclusive because of the
Contingent.
relationship or contingent work?
I like to do exclusive. Yes, the last couple of years I've said to some of my clients, for God's sakes, don't give it to me exclusively because I can't, like I may not feel, you've just got to get someone from wherever you can find them. I don't mind.
Yep.
And there was so much like throwing spaghetti at a wall, like most of it's going to stick. Yeah.
So you
what
saw
was the other part to your question? Sorry.
the split between work. You said mainly exclusive, but if you know you can't fill it, you're like, I don't want to take this on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the skill shortage is, I don't know. I've never been in, have you been in a situation? I've never been in a situation where I've got one candidate, 3 different interviews at 3 competitors. Have you been in sales recruitment?
Not really, because we're client heavy. It's not often you get one candidate, but you know, Amy does this. It depends on the industry. It's not often you get one candidate and you got 5 of your clients all interviewing them at the same time, especially with sales, because it's like they might have a vacancy, they might be full, and you know they're like, oh look, you know, we're all good right now, whatever it might be. So it's not like such a candidate short market in sales, because in sales you can kind of like go across industries. It's not so super niche on paper. It's more intangible.
Yeah.
So when you're selling a salesperson, it's like, here's his CV, but let me tell you about him. And it's like, all right, you tell me about him. And it's not so much like the on paper stuff. So whereas when you're talking technical, like accounting, engineers, whatever it might be, it's like, does he have a certificate? Yeah. Has he done the job before? He's fine. Let's put him in.
Yep.
Whereas with sales, it's like, yeah, but, you know, what does he like to do on his weekends? You know, will he be the man at the barbecue, cooking on the barbecue with all his mates? You know, and it's like, so, like, does he have the fire in the belly we need?
And you can send the same person to 2 different companies and they can have completely different outcomes.
Yeah, it's really weird. So it's like, it's not guesswork, but it's super, unless you talk to someone and you fully get to know their personality, you never really know where they can go until you understand, you know, what they're all about.
That sounds fun.
You know what sounds fun? Being an accountant recruiter and just getting someone that's a qualified accountant and sending them out to 6 firms and getting a guaranteed deal. That sounds fun to me.
Insurance has been like not so much like that, but almost, because you have to be qualified to work in most jobs in insurance. And the industry, I don't know if other industries are like this, but certainly I say we, but I mean the insurance industry is very much, we want the person to have all of these things, and we're not going to look like, for a general insurance role, we're not even going to look at someone from life insurance or health insurance, just not interested, because it's not the same.
Oh, God.
I mean, it's the same, but it isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we want them to have that exact product knowledge, and when we need them to have the qualification. Yeah. So when you see it, you recognise it. I can go through, you go into Seek and you do your searching. I'll like go through and think, oh, great candidate, great candidate. No, they won't necessarily have 5 interviews with my clients, but you might, if you've got a really good candidate, you might have them at 2, or maybe, like, I've definitely had, this isn't happening all the time, but at 3.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Accounting's different.
Yeah, see, like sometimes we get the buzz when you find an awesome candidate. You know, when you're like, booyah, let's go.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get that as well, but you go, oh, this guy's perfect on paper. You call him and you just go, oh,
An
he's not going to
idiot.
get along with this
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's out, or whatever it might be.
How do you feel about some rapid fire questions?
Ooh.
Go for it.
All right.
Hey, you can't pick and
Skipped one.
choose.
What was that?
The biggest low ball offer you've been able to get over the line?
It's meant to be quick fire. Shit, I've got to
Quick,
remember
quick,
and think.
Quick, which is it?
The low ball offer that I was able to get over the line.
He wanted 90. They offered him 70. He still got it done.
I don't let clients or candidates do that. I'll try and find something fair. Yes, there's been low balls. but
That's too
nothing
politically
massive.
correct
Oh,
for
come on.
confessions.
You're not really on a podcast.
Ah.
No one's
Next
listening.
question. That's a bullshit question.
What does storytelling play? What role does storytelling play in recruitment, and why is it important?
Yes, massive. Because you have to be able to, so for both sides, I think you've got to be able to tell your candidate about a business where all they might know is a title and a location, and they might have seen a website. You've got to tell them about the personalities in that business and how they do things and what you've seen them do before and how they treat their people. And you know that because, such and such started last year and these things have happened. I think that's huge in helping a candidate understand and feel comfortable about what they might be going into. But the same the other way, I think you need to be able to explain, like you were saying with your sales guys, you've got to be able to say to a client, okay, we've got this black and white document that tells you qualifications and where they've worked and for how long, but this is what their personality is and this is the kind of things that I can see them doing, and I reckon they'd get along with such and such because they, you might know something about their, what did you say before about what they do on their weekend? They're the ones
What they
cooking the
cook on the
barbecue on the
barbecue.
weekend. Yeah.
What's your approach to handling objections from clients and turning them into opportunities?
I don't know that I have approach. I just
Well, she
talk
doesn't.
to people.
You don't do BD.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
That
She doesn't
doesn't
do
count.
BD.
Well, I still get the objections because just because someone rings up, they're not always saying, I've got this job for you, and I've dealt with recruiters before.
Do they ring up and go, hey, I've got a job, but I'm not going to let you recruit it? And then you turn them around. No, I'm just
That
kidding.
happens quite often.
All right, what's
all
another?
the time?
What's the most important
Rapid
lesson
fire, come
you've
on.
learned from rejection or failure?
It's not personal.
That's a good one.
Yep. Like
Sometimes it's hard at the time.
All right, last one.
There are a lot of copies.
Just make something up.
Who's the best recruiter you've ever worked with and why?
Denise Locke.
Denise Locke. Who is this?
So Denise was my first recruitment boss. I hope she doesn't listen to this because I'm
We'll
about
tag her in the post. Is she still
Yeah,
in recruitment?
Denise. She's still in recruitment?
Denise, she's semi-retired, but yeah, I think she's working for somebody on a. Like
She on
doing
LinkedIn?
Some consulting kind of stuff. She's on
Oh,
LinkedIn.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Denise.
Yeah.
Denise does things differently. Like she's got her own style and her own way, and she used to always say to me, "People either love me or hate me, and I'm okay with it."
That's awesome.
Yeah. So she just knew who she was, how she wants to do things. Doesn't give a shit about what people think. And she was a bloody good recruiter.
Big Billa?
Even
Billa.
her name seems like a girl that she doesn't give a shit about what you think about her. Denise.
Denise Locke, don't mess with her.
Denise just gets it done. Yeah.
Apologies to Mark Turner because he's gorgeous and, extremely close second.
Awesome. Well, look, thanks so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. We appreciate the bevies as well.
Yeah, pleasure.
It's been good.
Thanks so much for having me.
And we can't wait to see Able's new revamp on the website. When's that go live?
There is a date and it's sometime this month.
This month?
Ooh, close.
Nice.
Cool.
So by October,
up.
it'll be looking fresh.
Yep.
Love it.
Check it
Awesome.
out.
Stand by.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thanks for tuning in to another Confessions of a Recruiter podcast with Blake and Declan. We hope you enjoyed and got a lot of value and insights out of this episode. If you do have any questions or you would like to recommend someone to come on the Confessions podcast, we would love any introductions. And remember the rule of the podcast: like, share, and recommend it to a friend. Until next time.